With your hurried flight from Candlekeep barely behind you, the troubles facing the Sword Coast seem an unfamiliar blur to your fractured nerves. Gorion would not have you sit idle, however, and perhaps investigating local concerns will shed some light on your own predicament. How the iron shortage or the trouble in the Nashkel mines could possibly be linked to you, you have no idea.
Our party arrives in Nashkel at nightfall and we see the small settlement. Crossing the bridge and entering the township,
Stand away, citizen!
our path is marred by an unnamed soldier, Baldurs. We tell him we're a band of adventurers and here due to the iron shortage and to rest the spell in the inn. Baldurs warns us to keep our troubles out of Nashkel, to which we inquire further, and he reveals the iron is rotten, there's demons in the mines, and the lower levels have been completely abandoned until the crisis passes. And then he speaks of one Commander Brage. After the army had stripped him of his title, he then butchered his wife and children and anyone who crossed his path when he fled into the hills. It's then we see a tear in Baldurs' eyes and he bids us to leave him. What misery this town has seen. Although we have been directed to see the mayor of the town, Baron Gastkill, we choose first to rest in the inn lest we get caught unawares by whatever dark cloud of ill omen this town has been cast under. As we approach the inn, we see a man displaying some fantastical martial prowess in front of a crowd. The crowd, though, are none too friendly or seem to be pleased with the bald and heavily scarred catchphrase-yelling martial artist who's named Rasad.
I will show you justice!
See? Such feats are easy when you learn to focus their energies through the light of Selune.
We ask him if he is from the circus nearby, and he said,
No, but I understand why you might think so. My name is Rasad. I am merely demonstrating some of the ways in which we Sun Soul monks reflect our spiritual light through physical activity. May I tell you more about the Order of the Sun Soul?
Although learning about the Order of the Sun Soul sounds riveting and Rasad is a recruitable companion, our party is unfortunately full and we are better to explore his full story in a later video. However, as we are about to bid him adieu, he is rudely interrupted by a spectator.
I see. May Selune bless you on your
Hey, what are you supposed to be then? Some sort of kick puncher? Come on, take a poke at me, I dares you.
I have come not to fight, but to demonstrate a few...
Oh, so that's how it is, eh? You prance about, pretending to be some sort of hard man, but you're just a coward, right?
I am not afraid to defend myself, but I do not seek out conflict without purpose. Instead, I wish to share the light of the Moon Maiden.
Oh, I get it. You're some kind of simpering priest, just pretending you knows how to fight, but really just begging for coins, yeah?
A Sun Soul monk uses mind, body, and spirit in equal portions, but not to prove his martial superiority. Rather, he seeks to better the lives of those around him.
Yeah, save it for temple school, boy. If you're not gonna fight nobody, I won't waste any more time on you.
We tell Rasad that maybe enlightenment doesn't bring as much spectacle and the coin from common folk as a fistfight may.
No, you are correct. Many people find excitement only in physical action. To find true enlightenment, one must combine the physical with the mental and the spiritual. You seem like someone who would appreciate the tenets of my order. May I tell you more about Selune and the Sun Soul monks? Farewell. Until we meet again, may you walk in moonlight.
He agrees and settles the dispute peacefully, but once again tries to pitch us about teaching us of the Sun Soul Order. But we decline as we have more pressing matters. It's then we turn back to the promising warmth of the inn and head inside. As we enter the small inn, we're threatened immediately by a woman in armor named Nira.
It may be a touch unladylike, but I'm gonna slit your throat, I am.
We try and find the reason for her assault. However, we know in our heart, before she confirms our suspicion, the mysterious bounty on our head is what calls to her, and it grows ever larger. Nira, being a priest, begins to cast her spell of holding, and unfortunately, due to her proximity when gloating about ending our lives, means we were able to get off a few choice blows that render her spells interrupted and her life stopped even shorter. We find on her person some armor, an upgraded helm, and a bounty notice with the now staggering 680 gold bounty on our head. Grim tidings indeed. Left to ponder on this macabre thought, we see the publican for a room and rest for the night.
Never had rats. No siree.
Who would pay such a handsome figure for our demise? And more bafflingly, why? After awakening, we promptly head east through the main street, past the merchant store, and are stopped by none other than the mayor of the town, Baron Nashkel himself,
For the glory of Am!
who recognizes Jahira in our party. We can choose to rebuff him for approaching us, but think it wise to cut to the chase about the troubles the town is experiencing. He further tells us what we already know: the iron shortage plaguing the area due to missing workers, tainted ore, and bandits raiding caravans, making it impossible to send reinforcements into the mine, and hence our own summoning. We tell him we shall help, for a reward of course. A bit bristled that good repute of the townsfolk is not enough, Nashkel concedes to a monetary reward and urges us to hurry. Just next to the mayor, we see a temple of Helm, but do not require healing or the outstretched hands of priests therein. And as we about face, a rather girthy man blocks our path named Ublek, who comically mistakes us for one grey wolf.
Oh, you have returned, and so soon.
And blathers about some expedition to kill bandits. We choose, rather altruistically, to tell him to keep his gold for the real Grey Wolf. Though we could have pinched his coin easily, we are in a hurry, and that's not how we want to be remembered. Though a fool and his money are soon parted, Ublek will have to learn this lesson on his own. Tsar is vocally chafing at the idea of not lecherously pinching the coin.
Must we be so insufferably charitable?
Past the garrison where some children play out front and approached by a large, bald man who beckons to us saying,
Stand and deliver, that my hamster might have a better look at you.
This impressive specimen, who has blue markings on his face, calls himself Minsk and is clearly taking a few blows to the head with his pet rodent, who he claims can speak, called Boo. Now, we can choose to aid Minsk or enrage him if we rebuke him, which leads to a very public quarrel, but it should be noted Minsk is a legendary character, and although his side quest to save his witch friend in a Knoll stronghold is very fun and a great adventure on its own, we shall again save it for a companion video. And we promised our current companions to aid them as they are itching to deal with this iron crisis. It's then, as we head past the Belching Dragon Inn and one other companion, the mage Edwin, who, like Rasad and Minsk, deserve their own standalone video as companions.
Again you disturb me.
So instead, we make a beeline straight for the Nashkel mines, not before being intercepted by one plucky fellow called Nuba. We try and move around this strange man Nuba, who has a glazed over look in his eyes and a penchant for long conversation, and he's not so easily dissuaded, asking if we have killed any monsters yet. If we further tolerate questions of, ever been to Baldur's Gate? I've been to Baldur's Gate. I think I stepped in something. Everyone in town used to throw rocks at me and tell me I was annoying. What time is it? I haven't had a conversation this long. Well, ever. What's that big weapon for? Those colors look pretty stupid on you. I once knew this guy named Dilby. He threw rocks at me too. Are you gonna throw rocks at me? And then, at his 30-second banal and incessant interruption, he finally concedes and says, Gee, you sure are patient. I've run out of things to say. Choosing to tolerate Nuba will net us 400 XP, though killing him will also adversely garner no negative reputation for 32 painfully obvious reasons. It's then we move south and, although tempted to visit the wonders of the carnival next to Nashkel, make a beeline for the mines to aid the townsfolk as our companions become restless. Upon entering the mine quarry, we see a building next to us. Heading inside and looking for anyone to give us directions, we're attacked by 3 very unfriendly war dogs. After killing the dogs and Colleen getting a nasty nip, we head back outside to the large open mine. and are seeking the entrance. We're stopped then by an Armenian soldier, Dandel, who warns us of unusual numbers of hostile dogs and to seek shelter back in Nashkel. We tell him we're a band of adventurers here to help, and he directs us northwest to one Emerson, who seems to be in charge. It's then, just north of his position, a treacherous ghoul pounces at us, and we hack him where he stands. There's something wrong in this quarry. The air seems foul, and we think, though, we will find answers soon enough. Heading west into the quarry, we see an emaciated miner who tells us he's breaking his back to feed his family, and that the dead walk beneath the earth. What a wretched state he's in. God only knows how his fellow miners have fared. Heading down into the quarry, we see several miners scattered around and 3 guards at the maw of the mine, with Emerson, we presume, by the foreman's hut, who says,
"So you want to take a look at me mine, do you?"
We are welcome to look in his mine, but rather cryptically hints at the rumours the miners spread about on what lurks beneath in the lower levels. With that, we see one of the Armenian soldiers at the front of the mine who wishes us luck as we head inside. As we enter the mouth of the mine to a wide corridor and are met with an eerie silence. As we approach some mine carts in a bigger room, a miner named Gord, who is heavily starved and ribs protruding,
Oh, I'm so tired.
sporting just a paltry, grubby loincloth to cover his nether regions, approaches us and urges us to leave immediately. He tells us his friend Ruffy escaped, barely, when little demons allegedly sprung out of the walls, and we should ask Ruffy for confirmation if we can find it. Standing next to a few minecarts strewn about is Ruffy,
Leave us be. 'Tis much work to be done.
who we ask what these demons look like, to which he says, "They look like demons, you blasted idiot." Fair enough. With that, Ruffy leaves and we're left alone to search the dark, dank hallways, and it's then we're stopped by another decrepit miner, Dink,
I think I'm coughing up blood.
who urges us to find his friend and return a dagger. We wave him off, too busy for errands, and begin to wonder maybe there's a gas leak as we leave Dink to wander aimlessly. In the southwest corridor, we happen upon a kobold, and while Zar dispatches it with ease thanks to his ranged Larlock's minor drain spell, we think this is what Ruffy must have thought was a demon, and are somewhat relieved, depending on how many kobolds there are, that is. In the next hall, we find inside the minecart some of the contaminated ore, and upon closer inspection, it peculiarly seems to be coated in some form of toxic substance. Is this due to the earth or man's tampering? Heading further to the second level of the mine, we're approached by a screaming miner, Baldurs, who is hysterical about yipping demons. These must be more kobolds. Before he finishes his sentence, the demons spring forth, but are made short work of, and miraculously, Belden leaves relatively unscathed. We move into a larger cavern with a lake and see bodies strewn about. More kobold attacks, and Chihiro is wounded, though thanks to her priest spells, overcomes her injuries while we take care of the errant yipping creatures. Heading west, we decide to follow the path in the middle when a clearly disturbed Armenian soldier steps out of the room. He reveals that he saw a body of a miner that was lost weeks ago, but eerily, it wore his face. Is there foul magic afoot? Dark clones, hallucinations, or something else? This is becoming more unnerving by the second. After dealing with waves of kobold death squads, we finally find the third level of the maze-like mine and step into a tri-pronged shaft with tracks leading each way. There's a ring in front of us that is made of jade, and a corpse lay on its back as a warm welcome. Pilfering the green ring, we wonder who it belonged to. Perhaps the body on the ground, as it is inscribed as Joseph's greenstone ring, and pocket it for safekeeping and perhaps sale if it was his. We attempt to rest for a spell in the cavern to heal our wounds and are awakened by the sound of more barking demons. Dealing with the demons, we head south into a ravine with what seems like a lava pit at the bottom, and 3 kobolds use our lack of cover to pepper us with arrows. We frantically dive behind the closest wall, Chihiro casting a tangling spell to hold them as the thief Monteron hits the errant kobolds with a volley of his own arrows. We then try our hand at rest again before pressing on as our wounds are becoming too great. With our rest undisturbed, we heal our wounds and press on. However, an ambush of traps and kobolds awaits on the other side, and we use Imowen's trap detect, now knowing the treacherous kobolds must have surprises in store for us. But how are they smart enough to set traps? Or is it someone else? As we press on, we get a glimmer of an exit in the southeast corner, yet two giant spiders amble towards us as they look to sink their fangs into our tender flesh. Dealing with the arachnids, we then head towards a final attempted ambush of the kobolds, using the ravine of lava as a clever defense to shoot arrows while we move towards them. Hacking at the beasts until our path is clear, we then move to the fourth and final level of this accursed mine. Not before Jaheira cops more magic missiles to the kidneys as our resident thieves fail to detect the many traps. Thank you, Imowen and Monteron. So aggravating. It's disturbing to my demeanor. We then step into a large open cavern, this time filled with water in a moat-like structure, and kobolds happily yipping from a distance close the gap once more as we rush them and do our civic duty by ending every yipping demon. It's then we pause to see an opening in the cave-like structure above. Cautious yet curious, we enter and are attacked by more kobolds. We search the northern section of the room lined with large stalagmites and a pond. Yet below seems to be a harem-esque sort of room adorned with rugs and pillows of all things, as if built for comfort inside this wretched mine. Before we search the room, we then see a lone elf named Zan standing in the middle of another empty room to the east. Desperate for clues as to what's going on, he says,
"I thank you for my freedom, friends, for I have languished in these dismal vaults too long."
He is proficient in magics rather gloomily, and if we are an enemy of some Malahay, he would join us. But who is this Malahay, and why did he become trapped here? So he sought adventure and was caged for weeks. We're actually amazed he's still alive. His spirits seem about right for the occasion though. Although, again, Zan is a companion and we can explore his side quest later, we decide to deal with this Malahay ourselves and leave the gloomy elf to escape on his own. Not before he tells us our quest is hopeless. As we head into the cushiony room below, a strange cleric, it seems, approaches us, startled. He tells us of his master saying,
What? How'd you get in here?
Tarzok must have dispatched you, and my traitorous kobolds let you pass, didn't they? I knew I could not trust them. Armed as such, you have obviously been sent to kill me. My Sirik, not a measure of awe leaves these mines unspoiled, and I am to be executed. I'll not lose my head over this.
Perplexed momentarily, we realize he thinks we're in the employ of this Tarzok, and that these kobolds are under Malahay's sway to rid the minds of miners and guards alike, as he poisons the ore, crippling its distribution on the Sword Coast. We think about threatening Malahay, but he's more than ready to defend his life, so we desperately try to ply him for information by lying and saying, we're in the employ of Tarzok, and he needs to reveal his treachery to save his skin. He moans,
Tarzok is unfair. I have no desire to cheat him or thee. My letters will show. They're in that chest. Take them, and Tarzok will see.
Success! We cautiously move to his chest to take the notes, and as we reach inside, he says,
Fools! You'll never have the chance to take anything. Minions, come forth and kill the intruders.
Malahay frantically attempts to cast various priest spells of holding, and kobolds and skeletons spill into the room. However, we focus on the main attraction, and with a yelp, Malahay says,
I yield, accept my surrender.
Although tempted, instead of killing him, we press Malahay further for information about his operation and Dark Master. He once again tells us to take the letters in his chest and thanks us before taking his leave. However, he quickly decides against facing his master empty-handed, yelling,
I'll have your skulls for coming here. You'll ruin everything.
Using a sly spell of charm on a kobold, ironically, that is ultimately Malahay's downfall. Slain by his own creatures a few feet from his makeshift throne, the Kobold King lays dead. We then begin to take care of the rest of the mobs and send a stealth Imoen to check if the coast is clear. We then decide it's best to get to safe ground before we read the fabled letter of Tarzok, Malahay's employer, and uncover the mystery of the tainted ore. Such a bizarre individual to be down in a mine running an iron fouling racket. And as we head out of Malahay's makeshift throne room, so too is the end of the chapter. That's the end of the video and chapter 2 in Baldur's Gate. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification to stay up to date with the rest of the story. Thanks for watching, and until next time, traveler.
It is certain that the death of Malahay will relieve the fears of the terrorized folk of Nashkel. But you remain uneasy. While the half-orc may indeed have caused the evils that befell the mine, the shortage of iron is too widespread to be his doing alone. His letters confirm your suspicions, and though they give little indication as to where his cohorts are hiding, they may have links to the bandits that currently plague the coastway.